rubbing yourself raw. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Good morning. My name's Jeremy, and this is the Rustic Hills Homestead, and I've already finished the chores for the morning. So why did I turn the camera on, you might ask? Well, I figured y'all are probably pretty good at knowing how I do the chores, at least during the winter. Things will change up as the weather improves. Speaking of weather, that's why I wanted to bring you along today. So here in Northeast Wyoming, we have some really fun weather. We've been in a pretty cold, snowy winter, which has its pros and cons. We needed the snow, we need the moisture, and it's a little bit what we're going to talk about today. The cold is always challenging when it comes to trying to, make sure that the animals are okay, but we get by. But anyway, as far as the snow, so you might have remembered this pond from some of the other videos where it was almost completely empty. What little was in there was frozen solid, and it's frozen again, not quite solid. But we had about 2 days this week. Of course, it was during the week when I worked my regular job, so I didn't get a whole lot of benefit out of it personally for work getting done, but we had about 2 days of 50 degrees. And you can see how the pond has filled up. And I'll show you where most of that comes from. So, there is a little creek, seasonal creek, that goes back along through those trees to the back around the horse barn to where those other trees are. It kind of comes from a couple of different feed-in points from that hill and drains a lot of water here. So this is our main pond on the property. During the summer months, the cows come and drink from here, and just kind of keeps things pretty. Eventually, if we ever get our fencing a little bit better, I might let the horses out and they'll come and drink here. And then there's some more drainage for this pond. So this pond has a drain. See if I can find it. It's kind of right in these trees over here. There it is. Right here, an overflow drain so it doesn't wash out the road. That sometimes works. And that drain comes out on the other side of the road. So you can see it was flowing. It's still kind of flowing. It's not totally solid. And I can see a little bit of movement in there. And that drain will come through here and down into this little creek that goes through these trees. You remember our summer pig setup. That's another thing we could talk about, is what I'm planning to do with the pigs this year. But that creek goes through here. Now last year we had a fairly decent amount of snow and melt, and it flooded this whole back, made it one huge swamp. And I have a feeling we're going to get a very similar thing this year, because it's already starting. Just from those 2 days of 50 degrees, all this water that moved out of that pond because it's full and is coming back here along this creek. This was all dry at the end of the summer, even though the beginning of the spring it was nothing but a swamp. And I wouldn't dare walk on this because there is no way that is solid. But it goes all the way back there, and it will get even more wet as we get more spring melt. Like I said, this was just 2 days of 50-degree weather. So imagine what's going to happen when we hit a week of 60. This is going to be nothing but swamp, which is actually kind of a good thing, because our pig pen and their pasture comes back here, and it gives them a great spot to wallow naturally. We don't have to build extra wallows into the pen. They love it. They used it last year. The trees give them nice shade. They get in there to wallow. So I'm looking forward to getting our pigs back out here. There's a caveat to that though. I don't believe all the pigs are gonna come back over here. I think we're going to keep the breeding sows and the boars over here. And then when the sows farrow, The piglets will stay on them for a little bit until they're weaned, and then we're gonna move them back. I'm gonna expand the pasture area around the house that I built by the turkey house, and that's where I'm gonna raise them up for produce. So the ones that are not going to stay here on the farm, the ones that are just going to be raised until we can bring them to our table and hopefully yours, are going to be raised on pasture back there, and this is going to be for the breeding sows and boars. So I think that'll work out pretty well. I have to do a little work on this fence before we move them, and obviously right now it's too cold to move anybody, but I think that's going to be the plan. And then as far as the goats, they're also going to be moving probably by fall if everything goes according to plan. And what's the best way to make God laugh? Make plans. So we'll see. I'm going to try, but let's see if I can get back up to the road and show you what I'm talking about. So behind that round pen, I've got a fairly good flat area, and I'm going to pour up a pad and put up a barn in that back corner over there. And that barn's going to be hopefully a lot nicer than that one. Nice post beam construction, taller center barn with eaves, and we're going to build a milking room into that, as well as some indoor goat pens with access to an outside pasture, an area for kidding, so that when the goats are kidding they can be kept separate with their kids, and then when the kids wean we can separate them off. Hopefully that gets done this summer. It's gonna depend a lot on finances, but I think I can get it done. And we've got the high tunnel going up there. That barn might also get enough room to let the cows have a pasture with that barn, so an indoor spot instead of using that loafing shed behind the other barn. And if I can do that, I'm gonna turn that loafing shed into probably a larger poultry house. So we might still have the chickens, but then also do maybe some turkeys and ducks over there. I haven't had great luck with letting the ducks just free range on the property. They end up disappearing, so I have a feeling bobcats and whatnot are getting at them. So we'll try more of an enclosed house with run. And then I can show you the other smaller pond we have that's already filling up over here. So we've also got this pond, and that fills from a combination of this valley right here has a little stream in the center of it, as well as coming down off of those hills. There's actually kind of a little underground stream that goes through there. It opens up in a couple spots and you can see it, but that's already pretty much full. It'll get a little bit more full as we get into the spring, but not a lot. It usually spills over there and then it'll head back down there into that other back pond. So you can see how the drainage works on the farm, and you know, all these provide spots for the cows to stop and get a drink when they're out on pasture in the spring and summer, and they provide some irrigation for the pasture. Kind of a little idea how the irrigation system on the farm works, and it's amazing to me with 2 days of 50 degrees up here how fast these things have filled up. Especially that larger pond that was just solid ice was completely thawed out in 2 days. And some of you may not be surprised, but trust me, around here, because of the weather that we get, it's not uncommon that we'll get more freezes and snow all the way into sometimes May, and that's usually the more wet snow. And as far as that solid ice, a lot of the time, or even the snow, I mean, even with the couple days of 50 degrees, not all the snow is melted, right? There's still quite a bit. So it's just amazing to me how much water we've already accumulated in our ponds, and that's great news for us. Now if the rest of it will actually thaw a little bit slower, it'll get into the ground, and that's better for the pasture because it'll melt along with the frost that's in the ground, and it'll grow a really nice pasture over the spring and summer. So what else do we have going on today? So today I'm going to probably be going to Sturgis. I have to go and check and make sure, but I believe Sojourner, our matron cow, is ready to come back and provide for the farm. So I'll probably be going to Sturgis to do that and making a quick stop over in St. Ange South Dakota for some small square bales for the goats. We just ran out. We gave them our last one and they finished it off yesterday. So I'm giving them a little bit of grain to get them through, and I'm going to go get some small square bales. So that's kind of on the agenda for today. It's a little too cold to get a whole lot else done. Hopefully this weekend we're going to do another IBC tote for the chicken grain and fill that up. Clean up some of that area next to the chicken coop so we can put it there. Hopefully, we're expecting Sunday some pretty good weather, so I'm hoping things will kind of clean up over there as far as the snow and everything, that I can pick up and make that a little neater. There's going to be a lot of spring cleaning this spring on the homestead, and I'm really looking forward to getting everything cleaned up, but at the same time I'm dreading it, because who loves to spring clean in the mud, right? Anyway, I think that's probably about all. I know it's a short video today, but I just wanted to give everyone sort of an idea where we're at as we're moving from winter into spring here on the homestead, and what some of the plans are. Don't hold me to it. I'm going to do my very best to make all those things happen, but there are some things that are just outside of my control, but I think I can do it. So that's what we're going to work towards, and thank you all for joining us on our journey here at the Rustic Hills Homestead. You are a blessing to our homestead, and I really appreciate you. Thank you. Don't forget, like and subscribe.